All right, welcome back to Washington Watch. I'm Tony Perkins, the website, tonyperkins.com. Last week, actually on Friday, heavily armed jihadist Fulani herdsmen reportedly attacked villagers in Nigeria's Plateau state, killing 10 Christians and burning down 100 homes. And on Monday, reports were coming out of threats made to the Christian community in Nigeria's southern Zamfara state, where churches were warned to stop worshiping and shut down or face fierce attacks. Meanwhile, more than 60 worshipers from a Baptist church in Kaduna State who were kidnapped on October 31st are still being held for ransom, according to the most recent reports. And these incidences are just the tip of the iceberg. But despite what's happening, including the fact that thousands of Nigerian Christians were slaughtered over the past year, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken removed Nigeria from the most recent list of countries of particular concern. That's a designation given to countries whose governments have engaged in or tolerated particularly severe violations of religious freedom. It's not even on the second tier list, the special watch list. Well, my next guest, like many others, is saying the Biden administration's decision to remove Nigeria from the CPC list is totally unjustified. And by the way, I think he has a good handle on it because he is the author of the legislation that started the special watch list. Joining me now is Congressman Chris Smith. He co-chairs the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission. He's a senior member on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs and ranking member on the Subcommittee on Africa, Global Health, Global Human Rights, and International Organizations. He represents New Jersey's 4th Congressional District. Congressman Smith, welcome back to the program.
Tony, thank you very much for inviting me back. Thank you.
Well, yesterday, I know you brought this issue up in a hearing on development in your subcommittee.
Yes.
And you brought this issue to the forefront and said it was totally unjustified that the Biden administration removed Nigeria from the CPC list, that it is a retreat from the noble and necessary fight to protect victims of religious persecution. What kind of response did you get from the State Department?
Well, the State Department has not vigorously defended their decision. Matter of fact, the Assistant Secretary for African Affairs, Molly Fee, said she would take it back, and I've asked it to be reevaluated. It was an unconscionable retreat. When the Secretary of State met with Buhari, who is the president of Nigeria, he should have been holding him to account for the ongoing and pervasive slaughter of Christians and other Muslims. The Fulani, they try to say this is a fight between herdsmen and farmers. That's not what this is all about. This is about the police that failed to respond as another slaughter is occurring at a church or in a village, when motorcycles and others means of transportation, they do a blitz command and start slaughtering people for hours. Then they leave. Police show up many, many hours later to do a casualty count, and there's no, I say again, no consequence. The Fulani leader of he's that ethnic Fulani is the President Buhari, and he has unfortunately just turned his back with gross callousness and indifference to this suffering. I've had 2 major hearings that I've chaired a whole year ago. You might recall, we had a very good hearing, very troubling hearing, and we had Nigerians, including a bishop, who testified, and they talked about this being a huge, just a massive ongoing killing of individuals, so who happen to be Christian and some Muslims. And again, I don't know why they did it. There's been no explanation. The statute couldn't be clearer. Even if there's indifference to what the country is doing, to what the leadership is doing, that still puts them on the CPC list. If they look the other way and look askance to what is happening, and that's just what Buhari is doing.
Well, my listeners know this, the regular listeners, that in full disclosure, I'm on the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. So I have not as much knowledge as you do about this. You've been at this a very long time, probably the leading voice in Congress for religious to defend those being persecuted for religious purposes. But from my vantage point, what I've seen, I'm hard pressed to find a situation in the last 20 years where you had a country on the top list of country of particular concern, meaning they engage in or tolerate this egregious, systematic, ongoing violation of religious persecution, to be completely removed from the list, even bypassing the second tier list when nothing has changed in the country. Has there ever been a precedent? Is there a precedent for this?
No, there is not. And again, I think it was a purely political move on the part of the Secretary of State, Blinken. He wanted to go over there and give goodies out to a president who does not deserve it. He needed to be held to account. There needs to be a sanctioning of Nigeria. And there are a number of things prescribed in the International Religious Freedom Act, as you know so well, working on USCIRF, the commission. And thank you for that service. It is truly remarkable. And your commission couldn't have been more clear that this was an abrogation of our responsibility to speak truth to power. But when Blinken comes and testifies, and I hope it's soon, I will ask him directly. I wish some reporters would ask him at his press conferences and to really drill down. What did you get for it? Why did you capitulate America's commitment to people who are being persecuted for their faith to get along somehow? The facts do not warrant it. Even indigenous human rights organizations, including one group, said they were just awestruck by this. How did you do this? And it's not based on the record, that's for sure. And unfortunately, it gives the greener light to the people who are committing genocide to expand that genocide against Christians. And again, you look at the groups, Genocide Watch called Nigeria a killing field of defenseless Christians, a killing field, right? And a fifth of all Africans live in Nigeria, worldwide. Right. I mean, it's a huge country. And to allow this to fester like this, I am so disappointed. I can't even begin to tell you, Frank Wolf wrote the original International Religious Freedom Act, as you know, and I did the one that bears his name. We have done, yeoman's work. The legislation needs to be followed faithfully. It is not.
Yes. Congressman Smith, we got to leave it at that, but I want to thank you for continuing to lead out on this. And I will just say this is bigger than even religious freedom, and the State Department, for no other reason, should be looking at this because of the humanitarian crisis this conflict could create in Africa. And I know you're on top.